Regular viewers to Kermode Uncut will recognise this as the wall against which I banged my head in protest at the horror of Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen. Well, I'm happy to say that I've returned to this wall with a heart full of joy, because whatever else you think of Inception, it has proven that despite what Michael Bay may think, it is possible to spend hundreds of millions of dollars making a blockbuster movie, but also to engage the intelligence of the filmmakers and the audience. But I did ask you to suggest for me here at the site other movies which may have acted as a precursor to Inception. That's not to say that Inception isn't brilliant and game-changing and all the rest of it, but which movies may perhaps have given us some suggestion of what was going on in Inception? Here are just some of your responses. So the films which came up time and time again in your post: Total Recall, the Paul Verhoeven movie, obviously based on Philip K. Dick's We Can Remember That For You wholesale, in which the whole thing may be a dream. Mulholland Drive, the David Lynch movie, a very good choice, made a number of appearances, although the question of whether it's a dream or an alternate reality, I think the jury's still out on that. And Existence, the David Cronenberg film, which was kind of critically overlooked at the time, but turned up loads of times here. This, for example, from Pirate Rocks, who cites Existence, then goes on to say, it's interesting to note the large number of edge of reality movies that came out around the end of the last millennium. The Matrix, The Truman Show, Existence, The 13th Floor, Dark City, a really interesting period in my view. This from Killian: one film I found that brilliantly portrayed dreams on film was The Science of Sleep. That's the Michel Gondry movie, which of course divided the critics. Actually divided me, come to think of it. Everything from the visuals to the sound, I found the most convincing of what it would really be like if you could film a dream. Now this is interesting, this from Paul L. What about the 2006 anime film Paprika? A device that allows a therapist to enter her client's dreams is stolen. She and a detective have to recover it before it falls into the hands of a dream terrorist. For the record, it has a fantastic soundtrack, to which Fantasy Escapist responds, damn it, Paul L., I was going to mention Paprika as well. It's still top for my entering others' dreams film. Made more sense immediately when it ended than Inception initially did. Perfect Blue also has a sort of psychological thriller aspect. Moving on, this from Gustav S., who was disappointed by Inception but recommends Open Your Eyes, the original Spanish language version of Vanilla Sky, and Cronenberg's absolutely lovely Naked Lunch. Was I the only one who thought that when they were taking the sedatives in Inception, it looked a lot like the bug powder injection in Naked Lunch? I have to say it hadn't occurred to me, but it's a good point. And this from LSJ Shez: I know they're not movies, Doc, but seeing as you mentioned The Twilight Zone, what about the excellent Life on Mars R version and its shonky follow-up, Ashes to Ashes? Funnily enough, when I reviewed the film on Radio 5, I did mention Life on Mars. I think there's a very strong Life on Mars connection there, definitely. Just a final few suggestions. This from RB Evan X: surprised no one has mentioned last year at Marienbad yet. Inception's subconscious projections reminded me of that film straight away. And Reggio says, I'm surprised no one has mentioned the films of Spanish surrealist Luis Buñuel, whose body of work almost entirely consisted of exploring the world of dreams. This final one, though, from Jonah: I really hate to say it, but the completely forgettable Ed Furlong movie, Brain Scan. In it, he plays a video game that is too realistic. It begins with him killing a man in the video game, and the next day, he finds out on the news that the man he killed in the game was killed in real life. Keep up. And then, a whole bunch of boring, predictable stuff happens, and in the end, it was all a dream.